everybody, and welcome to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. And yes, it looks like we have a new poster child to bring a little bit more agenda into focus. And we only have a couple of nuggets coming right up. Hi, everybody. It is Wednesday, and this is Black Spring with Autumn. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, or for you guys that are not sure if you're tuning in, for considering tuning in. And yeah, also if you were able to catch, I did something like under 20 minutes earlier today. Yeah, I was under 20 minutes earlier today. So thank you so much if you were able to make that. However, it's pretty interesting how the algorithms work. And yeah. So I was in for a little bit of time outside again today, and I don't know if the algorithms like that so much. Hello to Chrysler Imperial H. Thank you so much for coming in. But it's funny that the stats or the analytics on that are pretty wonky right now. It's like it's showing like no views on it. So who knows how these things work. And yeah, but I'm just thinking, is it something that I said? That's all I'm saying. Is it something that I said? But I do have something, a bit of a poster child, and I seem to be lagging a little bit, and sometimes it's not. I don't get it. It's not on your guys' end. It ends up on my end. So I'll try to make less comments about that because I can't tell. But yeah, so we'll just do a really quick. We'll do a really quick shout out to the subscribers and the viewers like you. Hello, Anarchy Television. And I'll be right back. I'll tell you who the poster child is. You might be able to guess who it is. Yeah. So I will be right back. All right, and just one more for our friends, and I'll be right back. I'll tell you, you guys can guess who the poster child is. Who this is my assertion, but I'll let you know when I come back. All right, guys, and once again, welcome back to Black Spring with Autumn on Wednesday. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. And yes, so I don't see any guesses for the poster child. So I guess I'm gonna have to tell you. But I also say hello to Diggs BTW. Thank you, Biggs BTW, for coming in, and hello to Jermaine G. Thank you guys so much for coming in. It looks like you guys might, if you guys keep this up, you're going to be on tap for my road trip, and it will be an extensive road trip. I've done it quite a few times. I'll tell you more about that another day. But yes, so shout out to everybody that's in the stream. Chrysler Imperial H, nice to have you around. Anarchy Television, nice to have you around. And shout out to you for that video you posted, because that's what I'm on about. That's what I'm on about. Diggs BTW and Jermaine G, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it. So, okay, so what I'm on about right now is, we had a little bit of a conversation about, and I normally don't get into some of these, dare I say, celeb, fusion, or, that kind of a bit. But every now and then, their plight seems to inspire or spark, is what I'm asserting. Asserting. What I'm asserting is that's going on here. So we talked about, of course, Naomi Osaka last week, I do believe, and I think she has since withdrawn from Roland Garros, and that's also AKA the French Open. Okay, then today I stumble onto this article, and basically it basically kind of, to me, it's almost like it's kind of foreshadowing, or it's almost like they are saying, look, this is going to be the new protected group, or we're revealing the new protected class, and they're letting employers know that, hey, this could be a problem for you, because what if Osaka was your employee and she declined to do something you asked her to do that may not be part of the actual, the job description exactly, or, a loophole. So I can't quite, I know where the overarching agenda is, but I can't, and I understand why they use the Kratos of an Osaka to kind of bring it in, because she's a celeb, and I also had an assertion that she bowed out. She didn't want to take any questions from the press, because she says that she has anxiety, she has depression, all those things that, just about, some people have, regular people have those issues as well. But she decided she wasn't going to do the press conference at Roland Garros, so she bowed out. But I at the time, it didn't really quite jive with me. Like, what is this about? She knew going into this tournament. Well, I also asserted that maybe she doesn't want to answer any questions, because she's been a big advocate for BLM. She's donned at least 10 different masks on some tournaments, okay? On some tournaments. And now all of a sudden, I've got concerns about I'm seriously disturbed, or I'm seriously shaken by interact with the press or with the media. So yeah, so that's what I'm on about. I'm going to reveal it right now. Exactly. I think that she's going to be used as, so when all else fails on that end, you just go over to the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, and you start shaking things up around there. So what do you think that's going to do? Which I'm not here to disparage, of course, any Americans, or any person with, disabilities. However, it's kind of, to me, it's just it's predictable now. They always use somebody, up here to foreshadow what's going to happen to us people down here. So I'm going to show you that right now. I stumbled onto this article and I was thinking, oh, wow. So now she's the poster child for the ADA and for that agenda, which will be, she will be a civic society leader now for ADA. Okay. So that is the American Disabilities, to me, Association, or the Act. And I'm going to go ahead and give it to you, give you the context here. I'll give you the actual article here. And this actually comes from a source that I'm not familiar with. It's inc.com. And I mean, this thing is laced with, the usual drizzle, but I'll give it to you anyway. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Hi, Carolyn Lowe. How are you? Thanks so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen with you guys. Thanks so much for coming in on your Wednesday at the 11th hour. So yeah, it looks like you guys, you guys are game for for outdoor activities, or even a road trip. That'll be interesting. Okay, let's see. All right, so we're going to go to this one. I'm going to give you guys some full screen on this. So, you'll be able to, I mean, my gosh, pretty soon, now you guys take it with a grain of salt. Pretty soon, they're going to consider POCs are going to be, that's going to be a class, another class. They're going to create a subclass for POCs. Oh, they're going to say the way Joe Biden talks, we're all messed up. We're not capable. I mean, I happen to be an American who can't figure out how to use a computer, or, get to a mocktail site, or, I happen to be one of those. So, maybe we'll all just be he'll just file us all under ADA and drive some more divisions underneath divisions. And, it'll never end. And pretty soon they'll start dividing people's kids against them. And okay, I'll stop. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and share this with you guys. I found this to be interesting. And according to this, Naomi Osaka should be a strong ADA reminder for employers. ADA doesn't apply to the French Open, but it applies to your American business. Here's what you should learn. See how clever that is? This is the penmanship is here for Suzanne Lucas. All right. Osaka is an interesting character, and I'll tell you why at the end of this. Naomi Osaka said she suffers from depression, and as such, she didn't want to participate in mandatory press conferences during the French Open, aka Roland Garros. All right. So here, there's a huge statement here of some sort of, when she's not advocating for victims, she's a victim herself. Okay. And this is not about me. I realize that I'm not, maybe June this is actually ushering in Mental Health Month. So all of this is very apropos. Kind of tanned, right? The French Open and all Grand Slam officials held strong and insisted fining Osaka for not participating. Osaka said no more and withdrew from the competition. What can American business leaders learn from this? Well, let's pretend that Osaka is your employee. Could you require her to participate or fire her? Businesses don't fine employees as a general rule. The answer should be no, but the real answer is maybe. Here's how. Why would the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, require? The ADA requires that you make a reasonable accommodation for an employee whose disability impacts their life. Depression can qualify, and let's assume in Osaka's case that it does. Are interviews a core function? So then the next question is, are the interviews a core function of the tennis player's job? If the answer is no, then you have to accommodate Osaka and let her skip the interviews. Think of it this way. Part of a reception's job is to accept packages, and once a month, the business gets a delivery of a copy paper that weighs 50 pounds a box. Lifting that box is not a core function of her job. If, on the other hand, her job were in the warehouse and she needed to move 250-pound boxes every day, then that would be a core function. I would argue that tennis playing is the core function and interviews are not, but plenty see it otherwise. The officials see this interaction with the press as a key part of the job after all. There's no money without fans. Without money, there's no tournament. Without a tournament, there's no need for anyone to play tennis professionally. If interviews are a core function of the job, you can certainly require Osaka to do the interview, leading us to the next part of the ADA, reasonable accommodations. Under ADA, you have to perform all core functions of the job with or without an accommodation. The accommodation needs to be reasonable, and you can go through what is called the quote interactive process in quote to get an accommodation if possible. This is a back and forth process until you come to a reasonable decision. What is reasonable varies from job to job and company to company. For instance, giving an accountant the ability to work from home to handle his migraines is probably reasonable. The same accommodation would not be reasonable for a bartender. So if you are Osaka's boss and say being in these press conferences is a core function of the job, is there a reasonable accommodation? Here are some ideas that I would put forth. One, presenting Osaka with written questions that she can answer in writing. Two, allowing her to do one-on-one interviews rather than a press conference. Gathering the questions from reporters and then allowing Osaka to answer them on her own time via video. And four, appointing a spokesperson to answer the questions. Will the French Open officials find any of these reasonable with Osaka? I'm not sure. But there are different opportunities, definitely opportunities to come to a reasonable decision that meets everyone's needs. Maybe it's time to reevaluate job descriptions. Sometimes when employee questions a core function and ask for accommodation or a release from that function, you should ask yourself, why do we do it that way? Surely there are plenty of athletes who love the spotlight and are happy to do the interviews. You also do not want to eliminate highly skilled athletes or employees who cannot do this side function. To put it clearly, I'm more than happy to give anyone an interview, but no one wants to pay me to play tennis. Clearly, tennis is the more important skill for the French Open. Job descriptions change over time, expectations change over time. It's okay to sit down and write new ones. It's okay to say, quote, hey, we thought this was a core function, but it turns out it's not as important as we thought, end quote. I think the French Open should have accommodated Osaka. And if she were your employee in the US, I would hope you'd accommodate her as well. And I think the ADA would require it. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. So there's your ticker on your ticker there on Osaka. Okay, so this is what I'm on about. I'm saying that this is a foreshadowing. This is a preview of what I consider is to come, not just for, because come on, let's face it, this is an elite position. She's practically, I'm pretty sure she's number 2 in the world. There's no way. She has leverage that the average American and employee does not have. I mean, one tournament and she's a number 2 in the world is different from somebody that maybe works at Walmart or somebody that works, somebody that's paid hourly, somebody that's not a salary based employee. But what I am saying is that this is going to be, I think this is going to be a game changer in which employers are going to have to start looking at, people are going to be refusing to do certain things. They're going to make things are going to be things that somebody might consider arbitrary will even take advantage of a situation like this. This situation will be exploited. And I'm going to be honest, I don't even see, even in education, they accommodate kids, but they don't go to that extreme. You've never seen them make any type of, do any real assessments on what's required of students in schools right now. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that students shouldn't have to deal with, but they do. But I'm saying this is basically an elite that they're going to use to either create a more woke employee, or the more woke exploitive employees are going to take advantage of this. And and who knows, it may not end up benefiting anybody that needs an accommodation based on a disability. And here again, this is not disparaging her because she has some level of depression or whatnot. But there again, that is something that is a individual and personal issue. I mean, you can't convince me that she didn't know that she would be taking press conferences as a professional tennis player. I mean, I'm just not convinced. And you also can't convince me that she, unlike many people that are not elite, that don't make millions of dollars for winning tennis matches, cannot find someone to actually help her manage that. I mean, I don't know what her issue is, and I'm not a psychologist on any level or psychiatrist, but I'm just thinking, why are they continue to allow someone or to use someone or somebody else's plight to affect everybody else, or to throw a wrench in things? And I'm going to be honest, the French are going to do what the French do. So it's almost like, to me, for the lack of a better word, they're being even a little bit salty towards them. They don't have to do what the woke American, media thinks that they should do about Osaka's condition. They don't have to do that, and they're not going to. They're going to talk it over with their people, and then they're going to come back with a decision. So if she doesn't want to do it, I mean, how many? But I would imagine maybe it'll just be a wave, or maybe not, or maybe not. But I said also at the top of this that I find her to be an interesting character. I do find her to be a bit of an opportunist, because I think when she started her career, when she made her break on the scene, she was, I think, even, kind of being sponsored even under maybe her native, under Japan. I think she was being funded or sponsored, by Japan, and I think she was able to receive more funding at the time. But it seems like now, I don't know whether she's no longer eligible for that or what changed. But the minute she started to change and evolve into this social activist, and of course, with that organization being under fire right now, to me, this is a way out of answering any questions related to that organization. And then for two, it's also, you just got another position. You just got your name, in the lights again. And you're claiming that this might even be, that this is just about your, anxiety. So I'm not buying it. We all have our challenges, and but I don't know what this has to do with. I just don't know what that has to do with her. I mean, because to me, if she wasn't allowed, if they weren't giving them opportunities to do interviews, then they'd be accusing people of being racist. They'd be demonizing the French for not letting her do the press conferences. So you can't. I think this is real? I don't know how much of it is real. I'm just thinking that this is an exploitation, and it's also typically what these Marxists do, and their agenda is to exploit somebody else's plight, whether big or small, and make it into something else that's going to affect the lives of other people, or even change the standard of other people, and just more exploitation will come out of it. I mean, you might have people walking off of a job and saying, "Hey, that wasn't a part of my core function, my core responsibility. I quit." Or you can't fire them, and then you're still, and then the employer is still at a loss. So yeah, I just kind of get sick of these people. But it's nice to see when they're giving you a preview of what's trending, or what they might be about to introduce into society based on something that she did. And yeah, so Serena's not there, so she's got to be a poster child. She's got to make her make her mark on wokeness. And if it's not women's issues or, it's ADA on the tennis courts. So yeah, thank you guys so much for coming in. Let me just go through and see who's here. Carolyn Lowe, thank you so much for coming in. And let me just read this. Zero Infinite says, coming through with a new word, lol. Carolyn Lowe says, every single time. She says, funny how we're always over the target on CV origin. Yeah, I don't know. I tried to use as many covert names as I could last night. So I don't know how that went over with the algorithms that be. I don't know how it went over. And Jermaine G says they're always trying to get us one way or the other. Good to see you too, Carolyn Lowe. And Carolyn Lowe says having your specific documented is key to the fight. They are pressuring her to step out of the core responsibility, but they can pull the sponsors. And Carolyn Lowe says that's what they were to pressure her, and conversely, she can push back. Hello, TDOA, Tyrant Spain. And Joseph Francis Burton says, that example is bogus. If lifting a certain amount, even occasionally, is necessary, it is a requirement of any applicant. Accommodations can be made, like a back brace or a safety harness. And Carolyn Lowe says the sponsors use her for advert and filling seats. Yeah, I am just, like I said, it's not. And of course, some people will say, "Oh, well, you're being insensitive. You're being insensitive because she's got issues." But why does it always seem that the athletes, the elite, are always crying about something, and it's not even, it's just, it's everyday kinds of issues that we the people have to suck up. We have to suck up our issues. We can't afford to, just say we're going to walk out of a tournament. Are you, unless you're an independent contractor, or, if you're not going to accept the bid or accept the job, then that's a totally different conversation. So this writer is, fluff, totally fluffy to me. But to me, there's some truth in, she's stirring up, she's letting the controversy to me to come on these issues. And yeah, and you're right, Carolyn Lowe, you should have the documentation. You should have documentation for whatever your issues are. But I'm just wondering, it's kind of convenient. Like, when did she discover she had these issues? I mean, since she became number 2, number 3, junior pro. I mean, even juniors take some level of press conference, even if it's not internationally, if it's not televised. People ask you, then that means that she would have an issue with fans, right? I mean, sometimes fans don't say things to you that are favorable or that are sunny. Sometimes they yell obscenities at you when you're playing. I mean, do you just quit playing and walk off and fold up? I mean, I don't know. I think you guys knew what I'm on about. And Carolyn Lowe says, facts. We have discussed this ADA thing ad nauseum. So we'll see. Carolyn says, and how to force them to go by law. Example, dropping liability on business and schools and school employees' school board. And yeah, I hear what you're saying. And then Joseph Francis Burton says, but it is still a requirement. If you hire someone who cannot fulfill physical requirements, then gets hurt trying to perform that requirement anyway, I will be in court. So yeah, I mean, honestly, if I see this 3 months down the road, or if they start writing more, who knows? Can you imagine them writing a bill, the Naomi Osaka Act? I mean, do you think that's hyperbolic? I can see, so this is what happens, because she'll be, a historical victim now. Oh, well, you remember that time she couldn't, and we're going to write a bill now so that POCs can not do interviews. I mean, honestly, I think this is why people are ready to just cancel sports. Just cancel it. How about you just stay home and live off of your fortunes? How about that? We'll take that. We'll go with that. All right. So I'm going to move on from that. I've been on about that a bit. So, and the last story I find to be interesting. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not familiar with this character, but it looks like we have someone that purportedly is affiliated with BLM that has some pretty sinister, allegations against him, and I'm going to share that with you. It's Tay Anderson, the Denver school board member, faces student sex assault allegations. So we'll go into that really quickly. All right. So according to this, I may even have a little interview here, some audio. The Denver school board member accused in dozens of student sexual assaults. Now, this penman is Salim Alger. According to this, the Denver Public School Board member Tay Anderson denies all allegations of sexual assault against him. A Denver school board member is facing allegations that he sexually assaulted 62 students, nearly all of them undocumented immigrants, according to a report. Tay Anderson, 22, who has staunchly denied the accusations, announced this week that he would step away from his board duties pending an independent investigation. Denver parent Mary Catherine Fleming, who works with sex crime victims, had told state legislators last week that 62 students confided in her that Anderson subjected them to a range of unwanted sex acts ranging from forcible touching to, quote, violent, end quote, rape. His youngest reported alleged victim was 14. Fleming, who did not name Anderson at the time, testified that all but one of the victims was either an undocumented immigrant or enrolled in the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, aka DACA. According to the Denver Post, the school board later acknowledged that the allegations were levied against Anderson. Okay, the board member was already facing separate accusations of sexual assault after the local Black Lives Matter chapter said in March that a woman told them he had abused her. He denied that claim. In detailing the newest charges against Anderson, Fleming said his alleged victims were too frightened and vulnerable to come forward publicly. Quote, those who came to my home did not have health insurance, couldn't afford emergency rooms. Even if they could, they wanted to avoid mandatory reporting for fear that such an interaction could jeopardize their family, end quote, she testified. Anderson's lawyer, Christopher Decker, said in a statement Saturday that his client was being prematurely vilified. Quote, he looks forward to defending himself from these false claims just as soon as they emerge from an anonymity into the light of fair investigations, end quote. Investigation, end quote, Decker said in a statement. Anderson tweeted Sunday that he was temporarily suspending active board participation. Quote, these false claims have put my family and I in harm's way. And now, as a father and son, I must protect those I love first. Therefore, I will be stepping back from everyday board functions until the completion of the independent investigation, end quote, he wrote. Now, that does not sound good. I'm just going to tell you, that does not sound good, because it also kind of, there's the welcoming committee going on. Okay. Sorry, guys. If you caught it yesterday, that was kind of the title. Helicopters is what I'm referring to there. So I'm thinking this kind of goes back to, that status, that wordsmithing that they do, that undocumented. Well, and I don't know, as I say, I don't know a man's heart, and I don't know this man, but I will tell you, it's funny how everybody that claims to fight for the plight of someone else, POCs, and now these children who have come over from the border. It seems like I would imagine that a lot of this is going to come up, but I do have, even though I don't know this man, but 62, that's a lot of allegations. That's a lot of allegations to downplay and to just say you're stepping away. But then also the unfortunately for those kids, because they are undocumented, are they going to do anything about it if it turns out that it's actually true? I mean, I have no idea. I have no idea. And then, I mean, I haven't really been following what's going on at the border as much as I used to, but I would imagine that a lot of kids are here in this country right now, and well, they're in the corridors of this country, and who knows what's going on with them? Because for one, it's much harder to track them or to, to connect them with anyone because they are what? Undocumented. And I really feel bad for those kids. I really do. But to me, this is a monster that was manufactured here, that was created here. And I don't think it's going to end. Unfortunately, it's going to start to show up. I think it'll start showing up in the schools. The classroom sizes, eventually, these undocumented students are going to start coming out of the shadows. And unfortunately, they will be, who knows what they will have gone through by the time they emerge or before they, I don't even know what process they are under. It's just kind of like they're, when you're undocumented, to me, you're invisible. And that also means if something happens to you, it's going to be less. I mean, how are they going to record it? I mean, what documents do they have? I would imagine they don't travel with any documents. There's no way to, I mean, when the article cited that the youngest one was 14, I'm like, well, how do you know that? I mean, maybe I would imagine maybe they know their ages, of course, and they can give you that information. But in some countries where there's trafficking, where there's human trafficking, the kids don't have birth certificates. I know there's some cases I know in Haiti, many of the kids don't have birth certificates, and they don't know what their birthday. They really don't know what their birthday is. So can you imagine if you run into one of these kids, or these kids, or if you have kids, if your kids start going to school and they run into these kids that are just broken and they're struggling and they can't even talk to anybody. They can't really even talk to anybody about what's happened to them, because there's so many things that's happened to them to get here and to be here. So I just think that's a really tough and bad situation. And I guess I will probably follow it up, because that's far from over. But I'm, as they say, I'm sorry, but 62, that's either a big lie or somebody has some serious things going on. Who knows? And there you saw the little, oh, but they didn't want to go to the emergency room, and they didn't have this and they didn't have that. And, I was just being nice. And, yikes. What can I say? Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. I really appreciate it. So I'm going to do a bit of just short. I don't intend to keep you guys very long. I don't intend to keep you guys very long. So I will be right back. And as always, if you haven't had a chance to hit the like button, if you could do that, you might help us out, because I think the algorithms, I don't know if they like my live streams outside, because I went from having some likes to no views at all. No views. No, lots of views, but no likes. Hello, the Rapper 10,000. I will be right back, and I'll check out your message when I get right back. Thanks so much. Hey guys, it's Black Spring with Autumn here. And if you'd like to help us out with our AI and dissemination of the stream campaign, please hit that like, unlike, dare to throw caution to the wind by sharing, or just making sure that you're still subscribed to the channel. And I want to thank you for your ultimate and baseline level support here on Black Spring with Autumn. And we'll be right back right after this. This show is brought to you in part by our sponsors. Whether you're interested in health, culture, politics, scripture, automobiles, or music, please check out Derek C. Williams, Killer Whale Channels, The Definition of Anarchy, Marcy T., Joseph Francis Burton, Paralysis by Analysis, Chrysler Imperial H, Little Miss Goth, AZ Infidel, Cold War Jesus, Anthony Scioli, and Let the Truth Be Told. We'll be right back right after this. All right, guys, as always, I thank you so much for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn on our Wednesday. All right, guys, thank you so much once again for tuning into this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. I really appreciate it. And the rapper 10,000 says, check out this website to read all of, we're calling him Dr. Fakasha around here. But we'll say Fauci. Go ahead and say it. Fauci's emails in depth. It's zerohedge.com. Okay. And looks like you have a second one that cites, I guess, from Zero Hedge that shows the researcher who funded the Woohoo lab admits manipulating the CV. Okay, well, thanks so much for sharing that. Dare I say, I'm not surprised, but for me, I'm more concerned with what's that if anything's going to happen in this case, and I'm not convinced that there anything is going to happen. I'm just not. Every time they have us chasing down emails. When was the last email that we chased that they had us chasing down? And yeah, like when they do, what is dare I say, a purge or something? I don't know. I mean, I got into something last night that talked about maybe 90 days, and we'd be Fauci free. And that's an assertion that that's what the article suggested. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with that, but you and I can't do anything like that and walk away with our benefits, and we can't do anything like that, right? So let me say hi to everybody in the stream, and I am behind on my postings. Let's see who I have over on the Twitch. I had somebody that was in earlier. Diggs BTW. Thank you so much for coming in. I need to improve the list. Yes, the Twitch honor roll list, that is. And I'm going to have to, honestly, I'll give you guys an update on when things are going to slow down here quite a bit. And yeah. So Jermaine G, thank you so much for coming in. I missed somebody the other night. Zero the Infinite, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Carolyn Lowe. Carolyn, I need to, I spelled your name wrong, and I was going in the wrong direction. Let's see. And thank you guys so much for taking a break with me yesterday. That was the first time, and it was good. I don't know, that sun was good, but today it was, I entitled that stream Blown Out because, the sky was pretty blown out and there wasn't any rain, but there were certainly, tons of clouds and a little bit of mist in the air. Yeah, I was kind of frizzy and stuff. But I don't know. Yeah, it's okay. I guess it's nice to see, you know, some curls every now and then. Some curls that I don't get to see very often. Um, Terrence Bang TDOA, thank you so much for coming in. Of course, you guys know about humidity, and if you have any, curly hair or frizzy hair, you know what I'm talking about. Joseph Francis Burton, thank you so much for coming in and supporting the channel. Carolyn Lowe. And I might even open this up for a second. The Rapper 10,000. I haven't done it in a while. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just for kicks, there's no pressure here. I'll just put the link there if you're interested. Maybe your usual 3 to 5. Okay, so unless we get carried away responsibly, and we'll see what happens from there. Okay, so if you would like to chime in on any of the the topics, and that would be including that would be the 2 articles, I guess. That would be the maybe Osaka situation out of the French Open / Roland Garros will set the tone for employees and employers. What will be tolerated, and will you be able to be woke as you want, or will you watch others be woke and exploit what's going on? If they don't have the documentation. I just don't know what's happening with our systems overall right now. It's total bizarro land. Or the second one on the Tay Anderson situation. Immediately I'm like, not another person linked to BLM. It just seems like, I don't know, like I said earlier, I'm just wondering who's dropping and leaking and inspiring so much of these things to come out, because normally BLM has been protected by the media and the globalist. So what's going on now? What has changed? So okay, it looks like I don't quite have any takers. So thank you guys so much for coming in. I'm going to run one more infomercial. And yes, I did forget again. I will post my links for ALDS and CFFS, CFFS. Yeah. All right, guys. I thank you so much for tuning in on the Wednesday. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. And yeah, and I had another nugget, but I'll save that. Of course, it'll be like it's more of a chastity belt kind of a nugget, that's going to be out of the Golden State, not so Golden State. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. And if you haven't hit the like button, you will have the opportunity to do so before the close of the stream. And we are just under 51 minutes before we close out. Thanks so much for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next live stream, in the comments section, on a video, a night cue, maybe even one of my little randoms. my break, taking a break, in a different setting outside, like we did yesterday, which was kind of fun. So I'll see you guys around, and yeah, I'll see you guys around, and have a great rest of your Wednesday / the beginning of your Thursday.